It's 17 minutes after 8. We're continuing our focus on what is happening over in Mozambique. It's turning into something of a war zone in the north of that country. Families of South African expats in Mozambique very concerned about the insurgent attacks in the north of that country, Cabo Delgado. Some families saying their relatives are missing following this extreme violence in Palma. Now, I'm going to be speaking to Michelle. It is not her real name. We are protecting her identity for her safety and also the safety of her father, who I understand, Michelle, good morning, is over in Mozambique as far as you understand. What can you tell us about the last time you spoke to him? Good morning.
Hi, Gareth. Thank you. The last time I spoke to my father was around 10 o'clock on Friday morning. Unfortunately, I think everyone's phone had died at that point. Palma has had no power since August last year, and so they've been relying on generators. But obviously, trying to keep a low profile, all generators were switched off for the 3 days they were in the hotel. So that was the last time I spoke to him, unfortunately.
At the time you did speak to him, Michelle, are you comfortable to tell me what you and him spoke about? What did he say?
Well, unfortunately, he's not a man of many words, but he was explaining, that there was talk of possibly trying to evacuate, talk of this convoy plan that happened. He said that shooting had reduced on Friday compared to how it had been the previous day and night. He'd also said that the insurgents had tried to get in, but because of the barricade, weren't successful at that point. But he sounded just very, very vulnerable, which is unlike my dad. Quite scary to hear.
Did he give any indication as to how they were being protected? Who was protecting them? Did he give any indication about the safety precautions in place?
There were absolutely no safety precautions in place other than a security barricade that the people at the hotel had put up. I think, the private military company that's there with the helicopters was the only form of protection. And obviously, if you've got 3 or 4 helicopters protecting this entire space, it wasn't focused on the hotel. So unfortunately, they were completely vulnerable to the security attack.
We've been reporting this morning that the South African mission in Mozambique, according to the South African government, is trying to help families like you in the situation. Michelle, is that the case? Have you been receiving assistance? Have you been able to make contact with them?
Yes, I must say that both the embassy in Maputo as well as some of the people I've been in contact with from Durka have been, as supportive as they can be and have been responsive to me and, as much as possible. I think what's difficult is they've reiterated that their hands are tied. The consulate directs or reports to Durka, and so their hands are tied in terms of what Durka allows them to do or information they're allowed to relay. And from the Durka side, I think lack of decision-making from the top meant that their hands were also tied, and there was a bit of a stalemate on whether or not they could or couldn't act. On Thursday already, I was in contact with Durka saying, what is the plan to get the South African citizens out? And, the response was kind of, the people in the hotel need to get to safety before we can evacuate them. Not sure they understood that they couldn't get to safety, and this is where we needed their support. But, I think given the geopolitical nature of conflicts in other countries, I think it made it quite difficult for them to intervene. But I can say on my part, they've been, I think, as supportive as they could be without decision-making from the top in place at that point.
Michelle, just a last question to you briefly, if I may be as so blunt, but I'd like to hear your response. What would you like, in an ideal world, government to do this morning? What do you want to see them doing to find your father and obviously everybody else that's gone missing?
I think it's a bit late to say what I'd like them to do now. This has been 4 years in the making, and the fact that I had more information than government, as well as many other people, shows that very little had been done over the past 4 years to collect intelligence around what was going on. There should have been sources on the ground that, were aware of these things kind of escalating up to the point where it is today. And so I understand, like I said, the geopolitical nature of the situation. Whatever diplomacy tactics are being used currently are not working. And South Africa is quite a powerhouse on the continent, and the role that they should be taking in SADC and with Mozambique needs to be a whole lot stronger. I don't have faith in the government for getting my dad out. I've had to reach out to multiple other sources, but to prevent something like this going on in future, and for the Mozambicans to continue to face this, once all the expats are out and everyone's forgotten about this, we have a responsibility as a member of SADC to help support those, the Mozambican citizens that don't have somewhere to evacuate to. That's what I want to see them doing, is taking a more active role in this space where they are considered a leader.
Michelle, I'm going to say thank you very much. I'm wishing you and your family all the strength as we continue to look for your father. I hope for his safe return, of course. I appreciate your time, Michelle, speaking to us. Coming up.